hiccup. I wasn't sure if the mail was going to run today, so I didn't want to put it out this morning, but while I was sitting here doing the live before, I saw the mail truck drive by, and so I wanted to go ahead and get it and put it out there before I forgot about it. And said, I'm super excited about that. It's something that I've wanted to do for years. And I've just never, like when I had the money to do it, I didn't think about it. And it was always when I didn't have the money to do it that I would think about it. And so, uh, with the gift that I was gifted by an angel in disguise, that was the gift that I got myself with that. So I think it's going to open up a lot of roads in my life. I think it's going to expose a lot that I don't know about myself. And I guess the biggest thing that I'm interested in is how much Native American I actually have in my blood. And depending on how that goes, um, I that's the part that I'm really excited about, is to find out about the Native American, because I know, at least on my dad's side of the family, and I'm pretty sure of the family too, that I have a lot of Native American blood in me. And I'm really, really interested to find out um, which family of Native Americans I'm related to. So, anyways, sorry for that little distraction. A little bit of a lag here. Let's see if it'll catch up a little bit. Okay. Maybe I was just moving too much. Anyways, getting back to what we were talking about, everybody's journey is different. We all have different things that we have to overcome, things that we have to learn about ourselves, things that we have to heal from. And, you know, I very much had to do all that on my own. I didn't know where to start. I had a very ADHD kind of mindset about it, neurodivergent, however you want to say it. Um, and that's another thing that I learned about myself. I am quote unquote autistic, neurodivergent, and as a child growing up, those things that about my son that I saw in myself. Let me close this door for a minute. That breeze is quite chilly. The dogs are out there soaking up the sun. It wasn't until I started investigating and diagnosing my son that I started realizing, wow, I mean, these are a lot of things that I do. And, you know, they name it different things, OCD, sensory issues, whatever. But I didn't know anything about any of that until I had my son. And so even though that situation in a whole has been a very emotionally testing trial, tribulation, whatever you want to call it, I've learned so much about myself thanks to my son. Even though he's not with me, those 2.5 years, they went by so fast. And none of it has been easy. I said it once before in one of my videos. What do you do when your heart's broken, but it still keeps on beating just the same? We just have to push through. And we have to find strength that we didn't know that we had. and we have to try to put that energy into something that's going to be beneficial, not that's going to cause further damage. And for a long time, I caused more pain and more heartache to myself because I was letting the situation get the better of me. And my broken heart was bleeding all over my life. And so many times I pulled myself out just to be knocked back down. Never could, I still don't understand why. And I probably will never get the answer. Why my son was taken from me. Why my mother hated me. Why my father never wanted anything to do with me. Why my brother apologized to me. You know, that's something that the last couple days has really been heavy on my heart. Copper, don't start. He thought that I wasn't out here. He couldn't see me in the truck, so he thought I wasn't out here. Um, let's see. I guess it would have had to been 2021. We were at my mother's house. And actually, now that I'm really, really thinking about it, I think it was when my grandmother passed away. But that could be, I could be wrong. My timelines get so jumbled. Sometimes it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly when it happened. But nonetheless, we were at my mother's house. And just like my mom, my brother hid the fact that he smoked. Now, at that time, I was still smoking cigarettes, which thankfully I realized I still smoked the cigars. But, you know, 2 cigars a day versus a whole pack of cigarettes a day, to me, in my mind, I'm doing better, right? And I'll be damned if I'm going to buy a vape. Vaping is, if nobody's ever told you this, vaping is way worse than smoking. It's way worse. But that being said, we went outside to smoke. And I thought my brother was just going to put a dip in. At this time, I didn't know that he was still smoking. He did a really good, which of course we never spent a lot of time together. So, you know, it was, I guess, easy for me to not know. And just out of, I don't even remember. I wish that I had like a, you know, a video player in my mind where I could just like project it onto a screen and play back that whole encounter. Because I don't even remember what we were talking about. And he just said, Ashley, I want to tell you I'm sorry. And I was like, for what? You know, like, what did you do? And he was like, I feel like if I would have made different choices, your life would be different. Or I feel like if I would have made better choices, your life would be different. And of course, that means so much more to me now than it did then. But even still today, I don't know what he was truly apologizing for. Was he apologizing for the fact that, you know, he stood there and watched my cousin Johnny do what he did to me? Was he apologizing for the fact that, you know, he always treated me like I was that annoying little sister that he never wanted around? Was he apologizing because he never stood up for me to my mother? He didn't explain what I still don't know exactly what he was apologizing for. And naive little old me left. I went inside and I talked to my mom about it. I'm like, "Mom, what is he talking about?" And of course, she just acted dumb, which she may not have known what he was talking about. It's little things like that that can get us caught up in that wheel of overthinking. And little things like that, when I tell you, don't deceive yourself. Don't let this world convince you that something like that didn't happen. Yes, it did. Just like, I mean, I can give you so many examples, especially when it comes to the situation with my son. I mean, I have documentation proving doesn't matter. Nobody cares. In reality, maybe it was for the best. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And that's what led me so far down the rabbit hole of my spiritual journey. Because it's like, how could causing that much pain be for the better? Well, because if those things would have never happened, I would have never started my spiritual journey. I would have been stuck in the box of the church, which unfortunately, 12 on the timer. Unfortunately, now, my son probably is. But, we all have our own journeys. We all have different things that we have to grow to understand and accept and deal with. And I've gone so deep down the rabbit hole that it's like I've realized that it never ends. It never ends. So because of that, I have a very hard time keeping the faith, being patient with divine timing. I just keep hoping and praying and hoping and praying that, somebody that I've told my story to cared enough about it to go validate it, cared enough about the wrongs that have been committed that they want to make it right. Whether it's a family member, a stranger, somebody that used to be a friend. I mean, I've encountered so many people in my life that I'll just tell them just a little of what I've been through. And they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you've been through all that. I'm so sorry. It's so hard to believe that, you've overcome all these obstacles. And it's so hard to believe that your own family would do those things to you." Yes, it is. Yes, it's very hard to believe. And I didn't believe it. And because of that, I didn't believe myself. And then at some point, you hit that realization where it's like, "No, this did happen. This did happen." And then that's jumping on a whole nother roller coaster, because then all those things that for so long I lived in denial about, then it was like I just got bombarded by pain after pain after pain after pain. And it's just, how? How can you do that to people? I still don't understand it. I don't know that I ever will. And I had to stop trying to understand it. Stop trying to rewrite the past, which that's what this world does. They just sweep it under the rug or, write a new book and pretend like the old one never existed. Like, but thankfully there's a lot of us now that are waking up and we're speaking our truth, and we're seeing that this whole time we've been deceived and tricked and manipulated and abused and lied to, and just ungodly things that have been done to us or said about us. And then finally I reached that place in my life where I was like, it doesn't matter what I do. I could literally stay in my own little bubble and somebody out of the blue, out of nowhere, will come in and pop that bitch. Every time. Every time. To the point that I've reached the point where I'm at now, to where I'm not even trying to build a new bubble. And that doesn't make me happy. I'm not proud of that. Now I'm just trying to gather all the pieces from all the bubbles that have been busted in the past. Try to make sense of it all. Try to gain some ground. But it's like when everybody that you've ever encountered in your life comes against you and literally physically puts you in a place where there's nothing you can do about it, all you can do is do you, boo. Heal, learn, forgive yourself. I've heard it for years. You can't heal in the same place where you got hurt. The same person that hurts you can't be the person that helps you heal. And I'll never forget when I had that epiphany, standing in my mother's dining room, pouring my heart out, like with so much pain. And her response was, "I don't know what to tell you, babe." Are you kidding me? No words of encouragement, no words of advice. No. She couldn't help me heal. She's the one that caused most of the damage. From the time I was born, my mother was my worst enemy. I'm untangled. Give me just a second. Nobody's actually watching anyways, so I'll be right back. He really does get on my nerves. I'm just saying. I'm not even gonna get started on that tyrant. It really God gives me the strength to tolerate him for sure, because he drives me nuts. He's so needy. He's so needy. He's worse than a needy man. For real. It Sometimes I feel like he's my spirit animal, and then sometimes I feel like he was sent by the enemy to just drive me nuts and keep me on edge all the time. He's constantly pawing at me, and Anyways, he drives me crazy. Anyways, not only do I try to encourage myself to get past that point of, the woulda, shoulda, couldas, I want to be able to encourage others to do the same. And, I really feel like the situation I'm in now is a test of that. Am I going to be able to keep the faith when it's literally everything is out of my control? There's nothing I can do. Nothing. Can't run, can't hide. I don't want revenge. I've never been a vengeful person. There was a time in my life where that spirit tried to creep up on me when I was a child, but that's just not who I am. It doesn't. I remember a time in my life when I was a young child where, I had awful thoughts about my mother. And that's because even as a young child, I knew that she hated me. And even as an adult, when I attempted to confront her and question her and really try to understand, she had no desire to talk about it. None. I'll never forget. She had beat me down once again. And I finally got up the courage to ask her why. Why do I feel like you get so much enjoyment out of watching me suffer? Boy, I wish that I still had the text message. I may have it screenshotted somewhere. I don't know. I do. Her only response was, I'm working on it. What? That was it. I'm working on it. Well, what exactly are you working? Nothing. That was it. That was the only explanation I got. After years and years of begging my son's dad to explain to me why he did to me what he did to me, the only answer I got was because I'm unlovable. Because of my unwillingness to be loved. What? My unwillingness to be loved. That's a cop out if I've ever heard one. After years of begging, and then he had the nerve to say, I forgive you? Forgive me for what? He couldn't tell me that either. And and the whole point of me saying all this, it's all an attempt to keep your mind spinning so that you're not focused on healing. They will beat you. I don't care who it is. You feel the things that you feel for a reason. And just like Simon told Matthew, or Simon's brother told Matthew, if you can't even believe yourself, who can you believe? If you don't even have trust and faith in yourself, who can you trust? Who can you have faith in? I'm still waiting. I know, excuse me. I know what happened to me. I know that there have been multiple attempts made on my life. They've tried poisoning me. They've tried just straight up killing me. They've tried getting me to take myself out. They've tried getting other people to take me out. And who knows? They're probably not done yet. And yesterday I tried to find it because I know I did a video about it when my mother died. But when your whole family, I'm not just talking about my mother, I'm talking about my whole family. My dad's side of the family, my mom's side of the family, my brother, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, they have all turned their backs on me. There's a reason for that. No, I may not understand what that reason is. But you know how I know I'm not wrong? Because none of them have tried to prove me wrong. None of them. And that's a hard pill to swallow. My ears are ringing right now. And how do you explain that to people without them calling you crazy? They weren't there. They don't know what I experienced. They don't know what I saw. They don't know the things that people said to me, the things that people did to me. How many times I've caught people trying to drug me by putting stuff in my drinks. How many times I just shrugged it off and loved them just the same. How many times I've been abused. How many times I've been stomped on like an old cigarette. And nobody can tell me why. Why my mother tried so desperately to keep me separated from all the family. Why people try so hard to tear me down. Every time I get back up, they tear me back down. Why? I pray that people that have experienced what I've experienced get more knowledge than what I've gotten. Because I'm struggling to understand. I'm struggling to accept. I mean, they're all gone now. My mom's dead. My dad's dead. My grandma's dead. My papa's dead. The people that I thought would be able to give me that I would think would have been able to give me any kind of clarity are gone. When my dad died, they didn't even do an autopsy. He literally was dropping off. Now, this is the story I was told. He was dropping off an Uber client and died right there in the car in the driveway. Just boom, just dead. And they didn't even do an autopsy? That sounds suspicious to me. Nonetheless, that's where my struggle is right now. Is it's like, where do you go to get that information? Where do you go to get those answers? Who do you ask? Why did they just allow him to take my son? Nobody in my family stood up for me. Why? And his family even questioned it. Even though his own mother told me to my face that the only reason he had him instead of me was because he didn't want to pay child support. But do you think she did anything to help me change that? No. She's beating me down just like he is. First met, he's the one that told me that she was a witch. He was the one that told me that the reason she has all the health problems that she has is because all the shit that she did to people. He told me that. I didn't just make that up. I didn't even believe in that shit when he told me. And now, boy, have my eyes been opened. Leading back to everything that led up to this, maybe that's why a lot of the things did happen, was to open my eyes and to wake me up to the realities of the messed up stuff that goes on in this world. If you don't believe in witchcraft, if you don't believe in black magic, you need to. Because if you've been taught and programmed not to believe in that shit, there's a reason why. I'm just saying. There's a reason why. They don't want you to know. And the shit that's happening in Hollywood and, in the government and stuff like that. And I mean, y'all need to wake up. I mean, I think a lot of us already have. But if you haven't, this is me encouraging you to try to break out of that box. Because there's a reason why they want you stuck in that box. If you don't even believe that something is real, then you don't know that you have to protect yourself from it. Speaking of which, I'm really trying to get back in the habit of keeping my head covered. That's not an easy thing for me to do, especially right now because my body temperature fluctuates so much, and we lose a lot of heat through our head. So it's something that during the summertime, it's a little bit easier. I can wear a ball cap or a bandana or something, but I'm really trying to get back in the habit of keeping my head covered. Sorry for the distraction. I'm trying to figure out what they're looking at. They're both pointing that way, barking. But, I mean, with Darlin, hell, she'll bark at almost anything. She'll bark at a bird, knowing that she can't get the dang thing. But nonetheless, I'm really just chatting, speaking my mind. I don't want to say I'm discombobulated, but that's really the only word I know how to describe it. I feel very discombobulated. I feel like a lot of that is energy that's being projected at me. But at the same time, I feel like some of it is internal. You hear them sirens? Confirmation. I don't know if he's pulling that guy over or just trying to get around him. Confirmation. Yeah, I know a lot of it's being sent towards me, but, you know, all I can do is have faith, keep the faith, stay positive, try to stay productive in some way, shape, or form, and just pray that divine timing is all I'm waiting on. Because if divine timing is waiting on me, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do. You know, with the situation with my son, I reached out to the courts, I reached out to the law. Nobody would do anything. With the stuff with me being robbed and things being stolen from me, I reached out to the law. They didn't do anything. When I was sexually assaulted and drugged and raped and all that crap, I reached out to the law. They didn't do anything. So what else can you do? What else can you do? I mean, it was so serious that I went to the doctor to get tested to make sure that I didn't have any kind of diseases. And the doctor called the law. And they still didn't do anything. And then I ended up in jail. Make it make sense. I can't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. And at this point, I feel like all I can do is just speak honestly about what I've been through, and if nothing else, just try to encourage others that are going through the same thing. I'm just at this point, I'm just thankful that, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food in my belly, my fur babies are okay. We may not have the things that we want, but we get by. We get by. But even that's getting harder and harder. I don't know why it just gave me a data warning, but okay. Uh, I'm eating things that I know I really shouldn't be eating, but it's because that's all I have. You know, romaine noodles are not good for you. They've got all kinds of chemicals in them and way too much sodium and processed cereal and shit like that. That's stuff that I know I shouldn't be eating. But when you're hungry and that's all you have, you're going to eat it. So, and I've asked for help from every different avenue, and all I ever get is, we can't help you. I don't know why. They don't they're not required to give you an explanation on why they can't help you. I don't know why. So much so to the point that I've quit asking for help. I'm tired of people judging me. I'm tired of people looking down on me. I'm tired of asking for help and people turning their nose up at me, even my own family. So I don't really know where I was going with all this other than just trying to get it out of my head and, try to share my story with others. That way, maybe in some way, shape, or form, people can get encouragement just by knowing that they're not alone. Because most of the time I feel very alone. I feel like that's the point of it all. You know, when we feel alone and we feel forgotten, we want to give up. It's just natural. It's like we get into that frame of mind of, well, what's the point? Why try anymore? I've I've picked myself, well, me and God have picked myself up so many times only to be kicked back down. You know, I ended up walking away from my whole life because I was being harassed and abused and stolen from and manipulated, and nobody did anything. Nobody cared. It's like they got enjoyment from watching me suffer. And I feel like they still are getting enjoyment because they think I'm suffering. Not like that. Not in the same way that I used to. Thank God. You know, it wasn't 4 or 5 years ago. I was suicidal thoughts were a regular thing. I didn't want to live anymore, but I was scared to die. Well, now I'm not scared to die, but I don't want to die, if that makes sense. I want the truth to be spoken. And I don't even necessarily, quote unquote, want justice. I just want to be able to live my life without being hated everywhere I go. I don't understand it, but maybe I'm not meant to understand it yet. I don't know. I get so confused sometimes. Like there'll be days where I just feel like I've got it all figured out. And then there's days where it's like none of it makes any damn sense. Just I'm just winging it here, and I really don't know what else to do but just sit and wait. But at the same time, I feel like that's the wrong thing to do. Like, I've never been that type of person. Like, I've always been a busybody. I've always been a hard worker. I've always just been go, go, go. I want to go. I want to do. I want to live. And this is no way to live. But right now, I don't have a choice. But change is going to come. Change is going to come. Okay, I'm gonna end it there, and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna get the dogs back inside. My toes are about icicles now. Even though I have shoes on, my toes are freezing, like to the point where they're hurting. So I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for watching. If you watched, maybe something I said encouraged you, or if nothing else, helped you know that you're not alone in this crazy life. And as always, be grateful for what you have, the big, the small, and the blessings yet to come. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, but you could possibly change their life. And you never know the impact it could have on yours. Be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.